Hello, and welcome back to the Elemental I Ching. Today's a special episode for the Lunar New Year, for the Chinese New Year, and entering into this year of the Earth Dog of integrity. And so a few years ago, for the Fire Monkey of Mastery, Amelie and I were playing with the archetypes of how this new elemental archetype enters into our field at the Chinese New Year, and then also has the gene key of that year. And so this year we're at 2018, so the gene key 18 of perfection, from judgment to integrity to perfection, and the working on what has been spoiled, which is a profoundly perfect archetype for how we're entering in to this Earth Dog. And the Earth Dog itself is about integrity. It is about living in this present moment as the unconditional love of this present moment, working on what has been spoiled to actually bring awareness and justice to the controversies of our life through a grounded, centered, playful, loyal, faithful, family-centered, home-centered, loving beingness. So let's explore this archetype and find out what it has for us on 2018. Just standard disclaimer, I don't know much about Chinese astrology other than my own playful contemplations with it. And more than anything, what I want to encourage is to us to tune in to these cycles of the elements at play. It's really beautiful to just research more and to understand more about this 60-year cycle between the 12 zodiacal animals of the Chinese astrology and the elements, the 5 elements that it moves through. And so this year we're entering into an element of earth. And we've been in 2 years of a cycle of fire, the fire monkey, and then when our fire monkey was elected here in America with Trump, and then last year the fire rooster, the red bird, the phoenix, the fire cock, as I described it, because there was so much sexuality and injustice and really bringing to the surface all the things that needed our attention. And I wanted to bring in that fire rooster energy to look specifically at one cultural archetype that I'm seeing at play already. And this idea that the fire has been churning up and purifying and bringing things up to be seen, to be witnessed, and learning how to, the rooster was a lot about learning how to call, learning how to stand in our truth, to actually express our truth about what is being purified, what is emerging. And now as we enter into this cycle of earth, integrating and grounding those experiences. Even in the Western astrology, we see Saturn coming in and like integrating and solidifying all the things that Pluto is churning with its power as it moves through Capricorn. And this is the beauty of these cycles, that there are nature is constantly moving through these cycles of turmoil, of uplifting, of the forest fire that rages through the land, and then those ashes become great compost. They dive deep into the earth and they become the fertile ground for something new to grow. So this year, the 2018, this year, the Earth Dog of integrity, it's about building on, living your life from a grassroots level, right? Like really growing from the crazy turbulent times that we're in, and learning to play, relearning how to be loyal to our families, how to build structures for the generations to come, and how to be in sensible communication with one another. Especially here with the earth element, understanding those unifying elements and how to communicate sensibly, sensitively, and how to appreciate this moment as it is and as it's becoming. So more so than just the earth, this is a young Earth Dog year, which means it's the mountain dog. And I loved that image of for me, I have a very special moment on Paititi, at the mountains of Paititi, with the dogs of that land, and just witnessing these beautiful loyal creatures that would walk with us the whole 3.5-hour hike back in and out of the land whenever we would come to the village. And just feeling into that dog energy, these incredibly intuitive, sensitive, playful, loyal creatures. And they are an embodiment of that unconditional love, If you've ever known a beautiful dog, you know, you can just see and feel the overflowing. There's no cage around that heart. It just wants to give its love, you know. And dogs are so powerful because they live in the present moment so completely. And of course, as my cat comes in to discover what we're talking about. So, you know, breathing in that archetype, that playful, loyal, sensitive, intuitive, healing creature that the dog can be. And of course, there are also shadow archetypes of what is the dog bringing, you know, what can the dog also incite? And looking at that emotional creature in the times of deep rest, you know, it's like full play and then full deep rest. And that's a really important cycle for this year, is really sometimes we'll have that flood of energy, that excitement, that direction, and we can follow that current. And then sometimes there are periods of melancholy, you know, of aloneness, of softness and stillness. Again, earth element, mountain element, really being still and grounded and centered. And so not over worrying about those times of deep melancholy or hopelessness. You know, we're in such a dynamic, changing time. And those that really care for the earth, care for social equality, care for economic and political change, you know, it can seem hopeless when we look out at some of the trauma that the world is experiencing in this detox period. And so honoring that feeling of hopelessness, you know, honoring that feeling of emptiness and aloneness and the depth of feeling that needs to emerge, and the willingness to stay in the present moment, to choose love in the face of non-love, to play with this reality, to be fiercely loyal to the values that we will not compromise. You know, the dog energy also is a lover of justice. You know, the fierce protection that the dog can provide, that divine no, that it's beyond morals of what the law or what even social norms and conditioning. It's that instinctual moral conduct of right and wrong, of good and bad, and that like sense of smell, you know, to determine something that we may not even understand intellectually. So listening to our intuition, you know, and I loved this idea of the building our life from a grassroots movement. I was digesting and listening to many different teachers and sages about what this year brings, and I was really struck with this idea that this is a good year for great change, you know, even radical change in our life and how we live our life day to day. Like I always find it funny that the January 1st New Year's is in the middle of struggle, perseverance, right? That gene key, you know, and of course here we're in desire, lightness, rapture, but I feel more ready to make my New Year's resolutions, right? So in this year, the earth dog of integrity, I'm asking for my body to be in full integrity, to really play with life at full capacity, which for me means a great sensitivity to my own diet, to my exercise, to the way that I work and play in the world. And also bringing it home, bringing attention to the home life. You know, the earth element that wants to have structure and organize and build a beautiful structure. And I loved kind of looking at how these archetypes play out, because in these predictions, they offer that next year may be a great sign of abundance from the hard work that's done this year. And I loved that, listening to the longer cycles of this garden of my life. And I really feel resonant, like this year is a deep time to really organize and hone in. And, you know, I'm coming off of my Saturn return, and also Saturn is moving through Capricorn. It's like building all these earth structures, and doing so from the present moment of love and play and faith in the goodness of humanity, faith in that unconditional love and compassion that we truly are underneath all that conditioning, you know. And so really taking time this year to study, to strengthen, to cultivate. You know, earth energy is great about integration, cultivation, longer pauses, a stillness, a receiving of life, and an expression of gratitude and appreciation and moving with that, and not righteousness, you know, or the lower octave of that word. Many people, when they righteousness, you think of someone who's proving themselves to be right or better than you, right? And the love of justice in the dog is not about being right in that sense. It's not about proving that you're right. It's not about getting stuck in the story and in the self-righteousness or indignant behavior that we can sometimes get caught in that cycle. But the playful, faithful, loyal energy of righteousness to be at ease with what is without compromising our inner values. You know, that's the beauty of this profound archetype that we're entering into. So I wanted to culturally just talk about this working on what has been spoiled, that lover of justice. So as I was describing that yen rooster, that fire yen rooster, the fire cock of opinions from last year, brought up, I want to speak specifically to the Me Too movement. Like, here it is the voices of the feminine standing up, that rooster energy, standing up and calling out the purification that had been occurring, especially when our fire monkey gets elected, even after his horrible comments and actions and things like that. And then here's this voice standing up for itself to claim the truth. So now how do we integrate that movement into our actual family values? How do we return the healthy masculine and feminine balance within that structure? How do we be loyal and faithful to the feminine essence and to the masculine against the complete disgrace of humanity that sexual abuse is? You know, can we stand strong and be a lover for justice? Or as my dear friend Ren and the movement in the conscious festival culture, consent is sexy, right? This lover of play is here to be so loyal, to be ferociously loyal to love. And that is the most fun, adventurous thing we could choose. You know, sometimes it may not be convenient to make those choices that are healthiest for our planet, for our family, for cultural conditioning, for, you know, racial and social and gender equality. And yet, how can we turn this into an adventure to be in our integrity together and individually? Right? And to soften those judgments. But look at what has been spoiled. Look at what has been broken apart. You know, we don't have to be afraid of this collapse, because this is our tool. These are the prima materia. This is our our Legos after they've been destroyed. You know, the tower's fallen, and now we have all these little Lego pieces to put into something new, to play with reality and build structures for our children. You know, and so giving thanks to all the mothers out there who are giving birth this year, to all these little earth dogs that want to come help us to remember to play, to have faith, to love, to be intelligent, you know, and sensitive in our communications. And this is going to be really vital for all of us, I feel, this year, is truly coming into right relation with our communication with others, that our success in love and in work will come from sensible communication. You know, to open these channels that have been constricted and confused and enmeshed in all these codependent codes, either with each other in our relationships or with cultural identity. You know, how can we stand strong and lovingly and playfully for the truth of who we are, to be in our integrity, including the integrity, right? Including the stuff that's still being frictioned out in our reality. And yet, there's something really promising to me about feeling into that mountain dog, feeling into that guardian at the threshold of the mountain pass. You know, yes, there may be obstacles that we have to overcome in order to walk through this mountain pass, but we can turn those ferocious, instinctual energies of anger and of indignant, you know, self-righteousness and all that shadow archetype into a loyal companion of love. And that's the thinking mind itself. You know, we don't, you know, either the mind is our master, or we can use it in service to this great love of our heart. And the dog wants to be in service. You know, you the dog, me the dog, we the dog, this earth dog that's coming into our consciousness right now is asking for us to take time every day to diligently, lovingly cultivate our life. What are the superpowers you're going to cultivate this year? What are the skill sets that you're going to put your patient effort into? And how can you do so with an adventurous, playful, inspired spirit? How can we work on all this that has been spoiled? Why not just do it with some play? And I don't mean that as a bypass. I don't mean that as a go with the flow, shrug your shoulders and whatever. At least I'm happy here in my little bubble. This is about change, grassroots change, and that comes from our individual choices, our community spirit, and our faith and loyalty to the love of humanity at its core. So honoring all this fire that's been happening over the last few years, just churning and blazing us open. Now I'm inviting in this energy of integration, of balance, of setting a good container for the years to come, of playfully, lovingly entering into this present moment and engaging with life with a ferocious devotion to justice and a playful loyalty. I hope that you find some fun insights out of this Earth Dog transmission, and in honor of the Chinese New Year, you can get the calendar for 25% off, and I'm just really grateful to be in a creative space and to be starting this whole new chapter of my life, physically, emotionally, energetically, mentally, spiritually, and communally here with you. I just really appreciate you. I hope that you find a glorious year of miracles and magic. Many blessings.